Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharishi's views on meditation. What is dhyana? Meditation. Maharishi said, the word dhyana usually signifies meditation on some object, whereas nididhyasana is used for inquiry into the self. The triads persist until the self is realized. Dhyana and nididhyasana are the same so far as the aspirant is concerned because they involve Trinity and are synonymous with bhakti. What is dhyana? Dhyana is holding on to a single thought and putting off all other thoughts. How should dhyana be practiced? Maharishi said, dhyana serves to concentrate the mind. The predominant idea keeps off all others. Dhyana varies according to the individual. It may be on an aspect of God, on a mantra, or on the self, etc. That is dhyana. Maharishi said, to stick to a position unassailed by thoughts is practice. You are watchful, but the condition grows intenser and deeper when you effort and all responsibilities are taken away from you. That is Arudha Siddhi state. How to meditate? Maharishi said, concentrate on that one whom you like best. If a single thought prevails, all other thoughts are put off and finally eradicated. So long as diversity prevails, there are bad thoughts. When the object of love prevails, only good thoughts hold the field. Therefore, hold on to one thought only. Dhyana is the chief practice. Dhyana means fight. As soon as you begin meditation, other thoughts will crowd together, gather force, and try to sink the single thought to which you try to hold. The good thought must gradually gain strength by repeated practice. After it has grown strong, the other thoughts will be put to fight. This is the battle royal always taking place in meditation. One wants to rid oneself of misery. It requires peace of mind, which means absence of perturbation owing to all kinds of thought. Peace of mind is brought about by dhyana alone. Meditation is with mind, and how can it kill the mind in order to reveal the self? Maharishi said, meditation sticking to one thought, that single thought keeps away other thoughts. Distraction of mind is a sign of its weakness. By constant meditation, it gains strength. That is to say, its weakness of fugitive thought gives place to the enduring background, free from thoughts. This expanse devoid of thought is the self. Mind in purity is the self. How is meditation to be practiced? Maharishi said, meditation is truly speaking is to be fixed as the self. But when thoughts cross the mind and an effort is made to eliminate them, the effort is usually termed meditation. Fixity in the self is your real nature. Remain as you are. That is the aim. Devotee asked, but thoughts come up. Is our effort meant to eliminate thoughts only? Maharishi said, yes. Meditation being on a single thought, the other thoughts are kept away. Devotee asked, we are asked to keep fixed the mind in the self, but the self is unthinkable. Maharishi said, when all thoughts are eliminated, it becomes fixed in the self. Atma Vichara, self inquiry using the question, who am I? Devotee asked, how is Vichara to be done? Maharishi said, The questioner must admit the existence of itself. I am is the realization to pursue the clue till realization is vichara. Vichara and realization are the same. Devotee asks, it is elusive. What shall I meditate upon? Maharishi said, meditation requires an object to meditate upon, whereas there is only the subject without the object in vichara. Meditation differs from vichara in this way. Devotee asked, will vichara alone do in the absence of meditation? Maharishi said, vichara is the process and the goal also. I am is the goal and the final reality. To hold to it with effort is vichara, when spontaneous and natural it is realization. Devotee asked, in my meditation I'll try to eliminate the wrong I, but so far without success. Maharishi said, how can I eliminate itself? All you have to do is to find its source and abide in it as your real self. Your efforts can extend thus far, the beyond will take care of itself. Devotee asked, Bhagwan, you always say that the self is ever present. If I am present, then why do I not feel it? Maharishi said, do you not now feel that you exist? Your doubt is whether you will forever continue to exist. Why should you have any doubt? A little thinking will convince you that the destructible part of your being, the body, is a mere machine, a tool in the service of the indestructible, the mind, which is the all in all, the knower and the master, you yourself. Your doubts and difficulties arise from your thoughts, which perceive the body and take it for yourself. Stop the thoughts, which are your enemy, the ego, and the mind will remain as your pure being, the immortal I. Devotee asked how to reach that center where what you call the consciousness, the I arise. Is it by simply thinking, who am I? Maharishi said, yes, it will be take you up. You must do it with a calm mind. Mental calmness is essential. Devotee asked, how does that consciousness manifest itself? When that center, the heart, is reached, will I recognize it? Maharishi said, certainly, as pure consciousness, free from all thoughts. It is pure, unbroken awareness of yourself, rather of your being. There is no mistaking it when pure. Devotee asked, if I go on rejecting thoughts, can I call it vichara? Maharishi said, it may be a stepping stone, but really vichara begins when you cling to yourself and are already off the mental movement, the thought waves. Devotee asked, then vichara is not intellectual. Maharishi said, no, it's inner quest. Devotee asked, is not meditation better than investigation? Maharishi said, meditation implies mental imaginary, whereas investigation is for the reality. The former is objective, whereas the latter is subjective. Devotee asked, what are the hindrances to self realization? Maharishi said, memory chiefly, habits of thought, accumulated tendencies. Devotee asked, how to get rid of these hindrances? Maharishi said, seek the self by meditation in this manner. Trace every thought to its origin, which is the only mind. Never allow thought to run on. If you do, it would be ending, unending. Take it back to its starting place again and again, and the mind would die of inaction. Go back constantly to question, who am I? Tear everything away until only the source of all is left, and then Live always in the present, only in it. There is no past or future except in the mind. Atma Vichara and grace. Devotee asks, then I can dispense with outside help and by my own effort get into deeper truth by myself. Maharishi said, true, but the very fact that you are possessed of the quest of the self is a manifestation of the divine grace. It is effulgent in the heart, the inner being, the real self is it rose you from within. You have to attempt to get in from without. Your attempt is vichara, earnest quest. The deep inner movement is grace. That is why I say there is no real vichara without grace, nor is there grace active for him. What who is without vichara, both are necessary. The purpose of life. Devotee asked, what is the paramount duty of a human being caught up in the cycle of births and deaths? Please decide on one and expound it to me. Maharishi said, for those desiring the highest, discerning one's own true nature is most important. It is the basis of all actions and their fruits. Devotee asked briefly, by what spiritual practice does one become aware of one's own true nature? What effort brings about the exalted inner vision? Maharishi said, withdrawing all thoughts from sense objects through effort, one should remain fixed in steady, non objective inquiry. Thought during meditation. Devotee asked, other thoughts arise from more forcibly. When you attempt meditation, there was immediately a chorus of questions by a few others. Maharishi said, yes, all kinds of thoughts arise in meditation. It is but right. What lies hidden in you is brought out unless they rise up. How can they be destroyed? They therefore rise up spontaneously in order to be extinguished in due course, thus to strengthen the mind. What should one think of when meditating? Maharishi said, what is meditation? It is expulsion of thoughts. You are perturbed by thoughts which rush one after another. Hold on to one thought so that others are expelled. Continuous practice gives the necessary strength of mind to engage in meditation. Meditation differs according to the degree of advancement of the seeker. If one is fit for it, one might directly hold the thinker, and the thinker will automatically sink into his source, namely pure consciousness. If one cannot directly hold the thinker, one must meditate on God, and in due course the same individual will have become sufficiently pure to hold the thinker and sink into absolute being. Meditation with form. God mantras. Devotee asked, what is to be meditated upon? Maharishi said, anything that you prefer. Devotee asked, Shiva, Vishnu, and Gayatri are said to be equally efficacious. Which should I meditate upon? Maharishi said, anyone you like best. They are all equal in their effect, but you should stick to one. Devotee asked, there is something concrete necessary to meditate upon. How shall we meditate upon I? Maharishi said, we have become rooted in forms, and so we require a concrete form of meditating upon. Only that which we contemplate will in the end remain ever. When you contemplate, the other thoughts disappear. So long as you need to contemplate, there are other thoughts. Where are you? You contemplate because you exist, for the contemplator must contemplate. The contemplation can only be where he is. Contemplation wards off all other thoughts. You should merge yourself in the source. At times we merge in the source unconsciously, so in deep death soon, etc. What is contemplation? It is merging into the source consciously, then the fear of death, of swoon, etc. will disappear because you are able to merge into the source consciously. Devotee asked, what is the best way to meditate? Maharishi said, do you do japa by rolling beads? Ma- Devotee said, no. Maharishi asked, have you thought of God, His qualities, etc.? Devotee said, I have read, talked, etc. about such themes. Maharishi said, well, if the same be revolved in the mind without open expression through the senses, it is meditation. Devotee asked, I mean meditation or signified in the secret path, and who am I? Maharishi said, after the camphor burns away, no residue is left. The mind is the camphor. When it has resolved itself into the self without leaving even the slightest trace behind, it is realization of the self. In meditation, are there words to be repeated mentally? Maharishi said, what is meditation but mental repetitions of a concept? It is a mental japan which begins with words and ends in the silence of the self. Devotee asked, I am taught that mantra japam is very potent in practice. Maharishi said, the self is the greatest of all mantras and goes on automatically and eternally. If you are not aware of this internal mantram, you should take to do it continuously as japam, which is attended with efforts to ward off all other thoughts by constant attention to it. Who will you will eventually become aware of the internal mantra, which is the state of realization and is effortless. Firmness is the this awareness through repeated practice will make your mind hold on uninterruptedly and effortlessly to the current, however much you may be absorbed in external activities. Listening to the Vedas, chanting the other similar mantras has the same result as conscious repetitions of japam. Its rhythm is the japam. Devotee asked, will Gayatri help? Maharishi said, what is Gayatri? It really means let me concentrate on that which illumines all. Dhyana really means only concentrated or fixing the mind on the object of dhyana. But meditation is our real nature. If we give up other thoughts, what remains is I, and its nature is dhyana or meditation or jnana, whichever we choose to call it. What is it at one time that means later become the end, unless meditation or dhyana were were the nature of the self, it could not take you to the self. It means were not of the nature of the goal, it could not bring you to the goal. Devotee asked, can I use forms and images of God and mantras? Maharishi said, yes, of course, all these things can help, or why should they be recommended in the book? Various things are prescribed to suit various nature. Each person must choose that what seems easiest and appeal to him most. I have faith in Murti Dhyana, worship of form. Will it not help me to gain jnana? Maharishi said, surely it will. Upasana helps concentration of mind. Then the mind is free from other thoughts and is full of the meditated form. The mind becomes it and thus quite pure. Then think, who is the worshipper? The answer is, that is the self. So the self is gained ultimately. Devotee asks, I get into a trance which I see a sky like blank. Maharishi said, he who sees the blank is the self. Devotee asks, it is difficult to understand self inquiry. If something concrete is said, it can be readily grasped. Japa, dhyana, etc. are more concrete. Maharishi said, who am I is the best japa. What could be more concrete than the self? It is within each one's experience every moment. Why should he try to catch anything outside, leaving out the Brahm? Let each one try to find out the known real self instead of searching for the unknown, something beyond. To control the mind, devotee asked, meditation is possible only with controlled mind, which can be achieved only through meditation. Is this not a vicious circle? Maharishi said they are interdependent. In fact, meditation includes mind control, the subtle watchfulness against intruding thoughts. In the beginning, effort for control are greater than for actual meditation, but in due course, meditation wins and becomes effortless. Devotee asked how to check the mind. Maharishi said, will a thief hand over a thief? Will the mind will itself? The mind cannot seek the mind. You have ignored what is real and are holding on to the mind which is unreal and also try to find what is it. Was their mind your sleep? It was not. It is now here. It is therefore impermanent. Can the mind be found by you? Mind is not you. You think you are the mind, and therefore ask me how it is checked. If it is there, it can be checked, but it is not. Understand this truth by search. Search by of unreality is useless. Therefore seek the reality, that is the self. That is the way to rule over the mind. There is only one thing real, the other are only appearances. Diversity is not its nature. We are reading the printed characters on paper but ignore the paper which is the background. Similarly, you are taken up by the manifestations of mind and do not hold the background. Whose fault is it? The essence of the mind is only awareness or consciousness. When the ego, however, dominates, it functions as the reasoning, thinking, or the sensing faculty. The cosmic mind, being not limited by the ego, has nothing separate from itself and is therefore only aware. The cosmic mind and the Mona. Devotee asked, how is one to be aware of the cosmic mind? Maharishi said, hold the mind firmly and trace it back. By concentration, Mona results. When practice becomes natural, it will end in Mona. Meditation without mental activity is Mona. Merging of mind in its source is meditation. Deep meditation is eternal speech. Pranayama and meditation. Devotee asked, I am hard worked and find little time to practice concentration. Are there any aids for it? It is control of breath, a good aid. Maharishi said, prana and mind arise from the same source. The source can be reached by holding the breath or tracing the mind. If you cannot do the latter, the former will no doubt be helpful. Regulation of breath is gained by watching its movement. If the mind is watched, thoughts cease, peace results, and it's your true nature. King Janaka said, I have now found the robber, namely the mind, who has been robbing me of my I-ness. I will instantly kill this thief. The perturbation owing to thoughts appears to rob the self of its peace. The perturbation is the mind. What that seizes the mind is said to be take flight. The self remains as the undisturbed substratum. Devotee asked, is breath control necessary for inquiry? Maharishi said, not quite. Devotee asked, there is blankness intervening. It is said in the book. Maharishi said, yes, do not stop there. See for whom the blankness appears. Devotee asked, for devotee there is no blankness, it is said. Maharishi said, even there is the latent state. Lie, the mind wakes up After some time, Hatha Yoga and self inquiry, Atma Vichara. Devotee are, is Hatha Yoga necessary? Maharishi said, it is one of the aids, not that it is always necessary. It depends upon the person. Vichara surpasses pranayama. In Yoga Vashishta, Chudala advises investigation vichara to Sikhi Dwaja for killing the ego. Reality can be reached by holding on to prana or intellect. Hatha Yoga is the former, Vichara is later. Falling asleep in meditation. Devotee asked how to prevent falling asleep in meditation. Maharishi said sleep must be gotten rid of, for the natural state has to be obtained consciously in Jagrit. The waking state, waking and sleeping are mere pictures on the screen of the native, thought free state. Meditation and self inquiry. Devotee asks, what is the difference between meditation and inquiry into the self? Maharishi said, meditation is possible only if the ego be kept up. There is the ego and the object meditated upon. The method is indirect, whereas the self is only one. Seeking the ego, that is its source. Ego disappears. What is left over is the self. This method is the direct one. Devotee asked, then what am I to do? Maharishi said, to hold on to the self. Devotee said, how? Maharishi said, even now you are the self, but you are confounding this consciousness or ego with the absolute consciousness. This false identification is due to ignorance. Ignorance disappears along with the ego. Killing the ego is the only thing to accomplish. Realization is already there. No attempt is needed to attain realization, for it is nothing external, nothing new. It is always and everywhere, here and now too. Devotee asked, what is that one thing, knowing which all doubts are solved? Maharishi said, know the doubter. If the doubter be held, the doubt will not arise. Doubts must be uprooted. This means that the doubter must be uprooted. Here the doubter is the mind. Devotee asked, what is this method? Maharishi said, who am I is the investigation. Devotee asked, may we perform japa? Maharishi said, why should you think I am this? Investigate and the thought cease. What is, namely the self, will be revealed as the inescapable residue. Self inquiry versus meditation on chakras. Devotee asked, I am a beginner in meditation and pray to Bhagwan to guide me. You exhort us to go on inquiring who am I. May I know where it will lead me. Maharishi said, it is not mere asking, you must go to the meaning of it. Many meditate on certain centers in the body till they merge in them, but sooner or later they will have to inquire into their own nature, which is unavoidable. Then why not straight away concentrate on yourself till you merge in its source? Devotee asked, yes, for 20 years I have been concentrating on certain chakras and have been seeing things and hearing sounds, but I go nowhere nearer the truth. Now shall I go on asking who am I as soon as a thought arises in my mind? Maharishi said, quite so, as long as you are not disturbed by outside thoughts. Dwell on its meaning. The aim is to reach undisturbed the root of the I sense, fixing the attention in Ajna Chakra. Devotee asked, we are advised to concentrate on the spot in the forehead between the eyebrows. Is it right? Maharishi said, everyone is aware. I am leaving aside that awareness, one goes about in search of God. What is the use of fixing one's attention between the eyebrows? It is mere folly to say that God is between the eyebrows. The aim of such advice is to help the mind to concentrate. It is one of the possible methods to check the mind and prevent its dissipation. It is forcibly directed into one channel. It is a help to concentration, but the best means of realization is the inquiry, who am I? The present trouble is to the mind, and it must be removed by the mind only. Closing the eyes, devotee asked, has closing the eyes during meditation any efficacy? Maharishi said the eyes can be closed or open as one finds convenient. It is not the eyes that see, there is one who sees through the eyes. If he is turned inward and is not looking through the eyes, they can be open and yet nothing will be seen. If we keep our eyes closed, it is the same to us whether the windows of this room are open or shut. Mosquito bites. Devotee asks, suppose there is some disturbance during meditation, such as mosquito bites. Should one persist in meditation and try to beat the bite and ignore the interruption, or drive the mosquito away and then continue the meditation? Maharishi said, you must do as you find most convenient. You will not attain mukti simply because you refrain from driving away the mosquito, nor be denied mukti simply because you drive them away. The thing is to attain one pointedness and then to attain manonasa. Whether you do this by putting up with the mosquito bite or driving the mosquito away is left to you. If you are completely absorbed in your meditation, you will not know that the mosquito are biting you till you attain that stage. Why should you not drive them away? Doing versus being. Devotee asked how to do all this. Maharishi said, the lack of the feeling that we are the self is the root cause of the trouble. Leave off thoughts and be, just be. It is the thoughts alone that create the hindrance. They are the trouble. Find out to whom the thoughts occur. So long as you think that an individual self exists, it will appear to do so. But find out where it arises and it will go. Those who have discovered great truths have done in the still depth of the self. Headaches in meditation. Devotee asked, I get a headache if meditation be prolonged for some time. What should I do? Maharishi said, if the meditator and meditation be understood to be the same, there will be no headache or similar complaints. Devotee asked, but they are different. How shall we consider them to be the same? Maharishi said, that is due to your outlook. There is only one and there is no differences. On meditation, the relative consciousness will vanish. That is not annihilation, for absolute consciousness arises. The Bible itself says the kingdom of heaven is within you. If you consider yourself to be the body, there is some difficulty in understanding the statement. On the other hand, if you know that who you really are, the kingdom of heaven and all are included in your true self. Devotee said, Bhagwan, each time I meditate, I feel a great heat in the head, and if I persist, my whole body burns. What is the remedy? Maharishi said, if concentration is made with the mind, hot sensations and even headache ensue. Concentration has to be made in the heart, which is cool and refreshing. Relax, and your meditation will be say. Keep your mind steady, be gently warding off all intruding thoughts, but without strain. Soon you will succeed. Hari Om Tat Sat.